Let's now conclude the topic about social theory and critical discourse studies. We can see that a strong link between critical discourse studies and the social theory is of a paramount importance, because there are multiple concepts which help us in conducting a critical discourse analysis are deeply embedded in multiple social theories. That is why there has been a disagreement in various social theory, in various critical discourse studies, uh, about the use of one social theory or the other simultaneously, and also because about the point that to what extent a certain social theory may be employed or not. So there would hardly be an agreement on such points, because people, one researcher might be using one theory and the other might be using other. One might be using a theory in its completeness, and other might be using some key points of that theory or some certain aspect of that theory. So this kind of variation is very much an important point of critical discourse studies so far, and I think this might remain so in future, in at least in near future also, unless we reach some conclusive frameworks of critical discourse studies. Bringing together different theoretical approaches in critical discourse studies can actually enrich our repertoire, our toolkit to go for deeper studies or problem-oriented studies. It can also lead to a connection between some diverse or some contradictory theories, those theories which have been contradicted each other, as it has been suggested in various studies also. The idea of problem-oriented research, in which the choice of method and theoretical concepts or approach or framework depend on the problem itself, object of the research itself, is also not without problems, because there is always a chance that we might overlook certain theoretical point, and as we know, being human beings, we know we might be knowing many theories, and we would like to integrate those theories into a kind of project, but still, being humans, it has been argued that we always are tempted to think a problem from a certain point of view. So in our orientation towards a problem and our efforts to sort out those problems or to dig out those problems, we will be consciously or unconsciously guided by a certain point of view which would be dominant on us. So this concept that we have to choose a method or framework based on our problem is not without problems. It may have a certain bias as in any other situation. In short, Marxist-inspired scholars in CDS aim to make interconnections visible, including hidden resources of meaning creation and their role in the prolonged or prolonging of human sufferings. On the other hand, post-structuralist view openness and difference as their paramount characteristics. This will always sum up these two potent philosophies, which has recently been very influential in multiple critical discourse studies. The existing link between CDS and social theory are more than justified and should be deepened further. I believe that this kind of connection between social theory and critical discourse studies must be furthered, as it would enrich both, especially as our concern at the moment is to see critical discourse analysis. It has the potential to enrich our frameworks, methodologies, approaches, and can give us some valuable viewpoints to look at certain human problems, social problems, and also to plan for the problems which we think we might confront in the future. So social theory can give us that important conceptual future outlook. As it is unlikely that CDS critical discourse studies or analysis as a diverse research design would ever manage to provide an agreed upon and commonly agreed upon definition of some of the key concepts. Therefore, every strand, every branch, or every school of thought in critical discourse studies would have to elaborate on the definition they use, and by doing so, they will have to explain to their readers that what do they understand by the word social. How do they understand social world, its various actors, its various enablers or distractors. They have to elaborate on all these concepts. Finally, we can say that there would always be some kind of a positive disagreement among researchers in the field of critical discourse studies about certain social concepts. And in this situation, they have to elaborate their views based on certain social theories. That actually means that the importance of social theory would always remain alive in critical discourse studies.